So picture this. There is this guy in Brussels, right? European defense analyst, probably drinking his third coffee of the day, is going through intelligence reports like any other Tuesday when something makes him stop cold. He reads it once, then again.
Boss, we've got a situation. Nigeria just pulled something out of nowhere.
Just 3 months ago, if someone told you Nigeria would probably shake the entire defense world, you would probably laugh. Nigeria, the same country dealing with currency problems, the one that waited for 7 whole years for jets from America while terrorists run wild. Yes, that's Nigeria. But something happened in April that nobody saw coming. And I mean nobody. Nigeria didn't just show off your gadgets. They basically stood up and said, we don't need you anymore to the entire global arms industry. Today, I'm going to walk you through why this matters so much more than just military stuff. We are talking about a shift that could change how Africa deals with the world forever. And it all started in a quiet building in Abuja that most people have never heard of. Now, let me take you back to 2014. Northern Nigeria was a mess. Boko Haram has just grabbed those 276 girls from Chibok. Remember that? The whole world was watching, hashtags everywhere, and Nigeria was scrambling. So what did they do? They did what every African country does when trouble hits. They tried to buy their way out. They ordered Super Tucano jets from America, worth about $600 million. And the Americans said they could ship all the jets to Nigeria within 18 months. 7 years passed. 7. Those jets finally reached Nigeria in 2021. And while Nigeria waited, what happened? Terrorists took over areas bigger than some European countries. They declared their own empire and people went through thick and thin. Nigeria had the cash sitting right there.
Are facing such challenges directly. So we know what it means. If you don't produce what you need, you'll be held whenever you need them, even with your money at hand.
The problem was something else entirely. See, when you buy weapons as an African country, you are not just buying metal and electronics. You are buying into a relationship, and that relationship comes with rules. Sure, we will sell you these weapons. The conversation goes, but you vote our way to the UN. You let us into your markets. You don't get too independent, if you know what I mean. I had one defense minister put it perfectly. Why should we have to negotiate our sovereignty for every single bullet? Now think about that for a moment. Imagine having to ask your neighbor every single time you wanted to fix your own fence. That's been Africa's reality. But you know what they say about necessity? April 3rd, 2025, just another Thursday morning in Abuja, or so everyone thought. Then Nigeria unveiled the Danisa attack drone. And I'm not talking about something they put together from Chinese parts or license from Turkey. I am talking designed in Nigeria, built in Nigeria, tested in Nigeria. General Christopher Musa said something that really stuck with me.
In a world where the global politics surrounding the procurement of advanced military hardware, particularly combat drones, have become more intricate, countries that do not produce such solutions are made to face bureaucratic bottlenecks and diplomatic hurdles in acquiring these critical platforms. If you don't produce what you need, you'll be held whenever you need them, even with your money at hand.
But let me tell you why this drone is such a big deal. It's not just that it exists, it's what it represents. 14 hours in the air, real-time satellite communication, precision targeting, and here's the kicker, it's built specially for Nigerian conditions. Those dense forests where bandits hide, the rivers where oil thieves operate, the heat that makes foreign equipment break down. This thing was designed for exactly those challenges. Now compare that to those Turkish characters everyone's been buying. Great drones, don't get me wrong, but they are built for Turkish weather, Turkish conditions, Turkish problems, Turkish terrain. And the cost difference? Nigeria cut their surveillance expenses by 60%. 60. But then there is something happening here that the news reports missed completely. While everyone was focused on the shiny new drone, Nigeria quietly built something far more dangerous to the status quo, an entire ecosystem. Take the EIB group, one of the defense companies. They have got over 1,000 people on payroll now. But here's what's interesting. Most of these folks aren't sitting behind desk. They are on the fields with actual soldiers, learning what breaks, what works, what's needed. You know how Ukraine have been holding off Russia with drones? Nigeria have been watching, taking notes. Now they have been producing those same fast FPV drones that have been game changers in that war. And it's not just drones, they are making high-tech rifles now. The DG-103, their own version of the AK-103, armored vehicles, even bulletproof vests, all made right there at home. Now this guy, Bright Echufu from EIB, made a statement that would have sounded crazy 5 years ago. Nigeria doesn't need to depend on any other country for security anymore. Not at all. Bold words, right? But here's what made me pay attention. The results. Oil theft used to be over 100,000 barrels a day in 2022. Massive problem. Now, down to 5,000 barrels of oil daily. Production jumped from 1.1 million to 1.75 million barrels per day. Well, could be coincidence, but when you see Nigerian-made weapons showing up in operation reports, when you hear military commanders talking about force multipliers and enhanced capabilities, you start wondering if maybe this stuff actually works. And that's when the global defense industry started getting nervous. Have you ever played chess with someone who suddenly reveals they've been playing by completely different rules the whole time? That's what Nigeria just did, because this story goes way beyond one country making weapons. What's really happening is Nigeria just asks the question that keeps defense contractors up at night. What if everyone stops needing us? Now, I was looking at reports from the African Chiefs of Defense Staff Summit. Country after country sent people to Nigeria's booth, not just to look around, to place orders. Why? Nigerian weapons work in African conditions. They are bought in local currency, and they come without any political baggage.
By manufacturing these drones locally, Nigeria reduces its dependence on foreign resources, ensures prompt acquisition, and strengthens its ability to respond swiftly to security threats.
You want to buy American? Do you remember the Tucano jets? Well, let's keep that another time. You need to make sure human rights record passes their review. Chinese, hope you don't mind the strings that come attached. Russian, good luck if you're not on your friends list. Nigerian, your money is good, here's your receipt. Now imagine you are sitting in Washington or Beijing watching a $20 billion annual market start looking elsewhere. Get your attention real quick. But there's something even bigger happening. Nigeria is not just trying to replace foreign suppliers. They are positioning themselves to be the supplier for everyone else. What happens when Ghana realizes they can get drones from Nigeria that actually work under West African humidity? When Kenya figures out Nigerian rifles might be better suited for their conditions than European ones, suddenly that reliable African arms market doesn't look so reliable anymore. And the really scary part of the big players, if Nigeria can do this, why can't others? But let's be honest here. Building weapons legitimately is one thing. Using them effectively is another. That's where the rubber meets the road. Nigeria still got real threats. Terrorists in the northeast, bandits up north, pipeline thieves down south. If these homegrown weapons can't handle these threats, then all this talk becomes expensive showboating. Early signs have been promising though. Forces using Nigerian drones have been reporting better results in tracking down terrorist camps. The Plateau State governor came out publicly saying these drones improve security in his area. Now, here's what really caught my attention. Bandits have been caught carrying Nigerian-made AK-103s. Think about that for a moment. These weapons are good enough, so much so that the people that they are meant to stop also wants to use them. But here's what I keep wondering. What if Nigeria succeeds? What if they eliminate their terrorist problems using their own weapons? Because then every other African country is going to be asking the same question. If Nigeria can secure itself with homegrown weapons, why can't we? And once that question gets widely asked enough, the whole game changes. Remember that old saying, a lion doesn't borrow claws. Well, what if Africa decides to grow its own claws? Now here's where things get really interesting. What if Africa didn't just follow Nigeria's example individually? What if the coordinated? I'm talking about something like an African Defense Production Alliance. Think NATO, but for building weapons instead of just using them. Now, picture this. Every African country contributes 1% of their GDP to a shared defense fund. $20 billion annually for research and development, more than enough to fund serious innovation. Then you set up regional centers. Nigeria handles drones and small firearms. South Africa takes armored vehicles, one of the most sophisticated and efficient armored cars. Today, the MRAP was copied from South African armored vehicles. Then Egypt does aerospace. Morocco focuses on cyber stuff. Now, instead of getting ripped off by traditional suppliers, you get fair negotiations with countries like Brazil, India, Turkey, nations that actually want partnerships instead of dependencies. The result? Africa produces its own security solutions designed for African challenges, funded by African resources and controlled by African decisions. Sound like a pipe dream, right? Maybe, but Nigeria already proved the basic concept works. They showed that African countries can design, build and use world-class military technology. The question now is whether other African leaders have the vision to see what Nigeria saw and the courage to act on it. Because, make no mistake, they are very powerful people who profit from keeping Africa dependent, and they are not going to lose their market without a fight. So here's where we are. Africa stands at a crossroads, and the path chosen will determine whether the continent continues as a consumer or emerges as a producer. So it's either path 1 or 2. Path 1. Nigeria's breakthrough stays isolated. In this scenario, other countries facing pressure from traditional suppliers and lacking political will keep buying foreign weapons with strings attached. Africa remains controllable, dependent, and vulnerable. Path 2. Nigeria's example spreads. Countries start investing in local defense production, sharing technology, building genuine security independence. Africa becomes a producer of its own security solutions. Now, which path seems better? Obviously, the second one. But here's the reality. Change is hard when existing systems benefit powerful interests. The traditional arms exporters didn't spend decades building relationships and creating dependencies just to walk away from a $20 billion market. They will push back. They will offer better deals. They will find ways to make independence seem risky, complicated, and unnecessary. But here's what gives me hope. Africa's security challenge is getting worse, not better. The Sahel crisis, maritime piracy, cross-border terrorism, climate conflicts. These problems need African solutions built by Africans who understand African realities. Nigeria proved it's possible. The real question is whether the rest of the continent has the backbone to follow through. So what does this mean for you, wherever you're watching from? If you're an African, start asking your leaders some hard questions. Why aren't we investing in local defense production? Why are we still negotiating our security with people who use them as leverage? If you are diaspora, look for ways to support companies and initiatives building African technology capacity. Your investment might be the spark that lights up continental transformation. And if you're watching from somewhere else, understand that this changes how Africa engages with the world. The continent doesn't need permission to defend itself. An Africa that produces its own security solutions deals with everyone as an equal, not as a dependent client. Nigeria's breakthrough reveals something important. The continent doesn't need permission to defend itself. The technology exists, the talent exists, the resources exist. The only question left is whether Africa will choose to use what it has or keep depending on others who profit from that dependence. What do you think? Are we watching the beginning of Africa's military renaissance? Or will external pressure and internal resistance keep things the way they've always been? Drop your thoughts below, and if this opens your eyes to something new, share it with someone who needs to see this perspective. Until next time, this is the Strategic Lens, helping you see past the headlines to understand what's really happening in our world.